Are you a beer lover curious about what goes into brewing great beer? Northern Brewer's 1-gallon craft beer making kit is the easiest way to brew your own first batches of beer at home and see the process up close. It comes with the essential equipment and ingredients that allow you to explore the methods involved in brewing and fermenting beer, which in turn will give you a deeper understanding and appreciation for craft beer. In this video, we'll show you step-by-step directions on brewing beer with this kit. We start by looking at what comes with the kit and what else you'll need. Then we'll show you every step of the process from grain to glass, cleaning and preparing equipment, brewing and fermenting, bottling and conditioning, and finally enjoying your handcrafted beer. First, let's look at the equipment you need that comes with the craft beer making kit. Most importantly, you get your choice of beer recipe kit: Caribou Slobber Brown Ale, Irish Red Ale, American Wheat Ale, or Kama Citra Session IPA. While the ingredients are different between the recipes, the brewing process is similar. For this video, we're going to brew a 1-gallon batch of the Kama Citra Session IPA. A good example for demonstration purposes, as it includes multiple malt extract and hop additions. The kit also includes a siphonless little big mouth bubbler with lid, rubber stopper, and airlock. This is your fermentation vessel or fermenter. Also, all the equipment you need for bottling. That includes transfer tubing, bottle filler, bottle capper with caps, fizz drops for carbonating your beer, and personalizable beer bottle labels. And because it's essential to keep everything clean and sanitary during the brewing process, the kit comes with a no-rinse cleaner. As an added bonus, you'll also have free access to our Home Brewing 101 online video course. This is an introduction to extract brewing on a 5-gallon scale, which will be informative also on this 1-gallon scale, or as you consider moving into larger size batches. Here's what else you'll need, but that isn't included in the craft beer making kit. A brew kettle, which is to say a pot that holds at least 2 gallons of liquid with a lid. If you already have a large stock pot of this volume, that will work fine, or you can buy a new one dedicated specifically to brewing. A clean pitcher or bucket, preferably capable of holding 1 gallon of liquid. A large bowl or shallow plastic container will work as well. One of the purposes of this vessel is for sanitizing bottles, so be sure that at least one bottle fits at a time in this vessel, if not several at a time. A timer, of course the timer function on your phone will work. A pair of scissors, a clean towel or two for messes and cleanup, 2 bags of ice or about 10 pounds, and a kitchen spoon. Now this will be used for stirring boiling hot liquid, so the longer the handle, the better. Let's get ready for the brew day by assembling the fermentation vessel. Install the spigot on the little big mouth bubbler by removing the nut and 1 gasket from the spigot threads. Insert the spigot through the hole. Slide the second gasket over the exposed threads of the spigot and thread the nut on with the flat side facing the glass. Hand tighten only. Fill the fermenter with 1 gallon of warm water and check for leaks. If there is a leak, undo the spigot and repeat installation as just described. Once there are no leaks around the spigot, mark the outside of the little big mouth bubbler with tape or a marker where the top of the 1 gallon of water is. This will be a reference point for later. Mix in 1 pouch of cleanser until dissolved and let this sit until the fermenter is needed later in the process. Also, before getting started, decide where your fermentation area will be. Ideally, this is a location out of direct light with a steady temperature around 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Closets, pantries, basements work really nice. If the fermenter is going to be kept out in the open, plan to protect it by covering it or wrapping it with a towel, because exposure to direct sunlight can cause off flavors in beer. Steep grains. Most of the fermentable sugar for your beer comes from dry and or liquid malt extract. However, some of the beer's color, flavor, and aroma comes from specialty grains that you will steep before adding the extract. Think of it sort of like making a tea, but using malt instead of tea leaves. A good rule of thumb here is that if your water is good enough to drink, it is good enough to brew with. If you have any concerns about the quality of your drinking water, consider buying bottled or jugged water from the store. Fill a clean pot with 1 gallon of cool water and place it on the stove over medium heat, uncovered. Over a sink, pour the grains into the mesh grain bag. Tie a knot at the open end of the bag, leaving room for the grains to move freely. Dunk the bag into the water, move it around a little bit, incorporate the water and the grains, and then steep that grain bag in the water while it heats. Set a timer for 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, remove the grain bag from the pot. Hold the grain bag over the pot while it drains. Get all the liquid out you can, but don't squeeze it. Discard the grain bag and then turn the stove to high and heat uncovered until it comes to a boil. Add malt extract. Once you reach a boil, kill the flame. Now stir in 1 pound of golden light dry malt extract powder until dissolved. If you're brewing a recipe other than Kama Citra Session IPA, your malt powder addition might be a different variety or flavor, but this is still when you most likely will add it. Some recipes, such as our Caribou Slobber Brown Ale 1 gallon kit, might call for liquid malt extract instead. This is basically the same thing as the malt powder, but it comes in syrup form. Whether you use dry or liquid malt extract, be sure to stir it well and make sure there's none stuck to the bottom of your pot, or you might risk scorching and burning it. Once the malt extract is fully dissolved, you now have wort. This is the brewer's term for unfermented beer. Return the pot to the stove over high heat and bring it to a boil. Keep an eye on the kettle and actively monitor the foam at this point. When foam begins to rise, reduce the heat and carefully stir until the foam subsides and your boil is under control. You do not want this sugary liquid to boil over, out of the pot, onto your stovetop. It's a huge mess, so be very diligent here. Once things are under control, adjust heat as necessary to maintain a slow rolling boil. Add hops. With the wort now boiling, we'll make 4 hop additions over the course of a 45-minute boil. Set a timer for 45 minutes, then add the 3.5 gram packet of Centennial hops. This first hop addition is where the bulk of your beer's bitterness will come from. Again, actively monitor foam, stir carefully, and adjust heat as necessary to prevent a boil over. With 20 minutes remaining in the boil, add the 7 gram packet of Cascade hops. With 10 minutes remaining in the boil, add the 3.5 gram packet of Cascade hops. These 20 and 10 minute hop additions will provide layers of hop flavor in the beer. At the end of the 45-minute boil, turn off the heat and add the final 7 gram packet of Citra hops, and stir this well before covering the pot. This is called a flame out hop addition, and it boosts the hop aroma of the beer. Other recipes might have more or less hops than Kama Citra Session IPA. Always follow the recipe kit instructions for proper dosing of hops and other possible spice additions during the boil. Cool wort. Now it is time to cool the wort and prepare it for fermentation. Brewer's yeast works best at a temperature between 60 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit, so we must chill the wort to that temperature before we add or pitch the yeast. The easiest way to do this is with an ice bath. Place the covered pot in the sink. Fill the sink with cold water and ice up to the height of the wort in the pot. Then set a timer for 30 minutes. While the wort cools, move to the next step, which is sanitizing your equipment. Sanitize equipment. Put the lid on the little big mouth bubbler and swirl the cleanser solution you added to the fermenter, ensuring contact with all surfaces. Open the spigot and run some of the cleanser solution through it in order to sanitize it as well. Then empty the solution into a clean pitcher, bucket, bowl, or other container for use later. Put the lid back on the little big mouth bubbler. In this cleanser solution, soak the airlock, rubber stopper, scissors, and yeast pack, again ensuring contact with all surfaces. Transfer wort. When the timer goes off, it's time to transfer your wort into the fermenter. Place the sanitized fermenter on a surface near your cooled pot of wort. Remove the lid from both the little big mouth bubbler and the pot of wort. Gently pour the wort into the little big mouth bubbler. Get as much liquid as you can while leaving most of the solids in the pot. Add cool, drinkable water to the Little Big Mouth bubbler until the wort level rises up to the 1 gallon mark you made on the fermenter. Then discard the remaining liquid and solids from that pot. Pitch yeast. Now we add or pitch yeast into the wort. Cut open the yeast pack with your sanitized scissors. Don't just dump the yeast all in one spot. Rather, sprinkle the contents of the yeast packet across the surface of the wort. Secure the lid to the fermenter and insert the rubber stopper into the center hole. Fill an airlock with cleanser solution to the fill line and insert that into the hole of the rubber stopper. Fermentation. With the brew day over, move the fermenter to a location that does not receive direct sunlight and maintains a steady temperature between 65 and 75 degrees. Within a few days, bubbles should start forming in the airlock and a thick foam called kreuzen will rise to the surface of the wort. This is a normal part of the fermentation process and just means that things are going as expected. During the fermentation process, yeast cells feed on the sugars in the wort and ferment, creating alcohol which stays in solution and a small amount of carbon dioxide which escapes through the airlock. Allow the fermentation process 14 days to complete. You'll know that fermentation has finished when bubbling in the airlock slows, then stops completely, and that kreuzen collapses and settles to the bottom of the fermenter. The unfermented wort is now fermented, finished beer. Time to move on to bottling. Here is a look at the equipment you'll need for bottling your beer. Included in the craft beer making kit you'll find transfer tubing, a bottle filler, bottle caps and bottle capper, fizz drops, which are basically sugar tablets used to carbonate the beer in the bottle, and the no-rinse cleanser. Additional equipment you'll need to provide includes 10 clean, empty, pry-off beer bottles, and a storage box for holding them once they are filled. A towel or two for cleaning up or catching any spills, and a pitcher or other container for sanitizing the bottles. About a half hour before starting the bottling process, carefully move your fermenter to an elevated position like the edge of a countertop or table. Soak the open end of the transfer tubing in hot water for about 30 seconds to soften it, then push the tubing over the end of the bottle filler. Once again, everything that comes into contact with the beer needs to be clean and sanitized. For this demonstration, we mixed 1 gallon of water with 1 pack of cleanser powder in a pitcher until it was dissolved, then poured that into a wide plastic container to sanitize our bottles. Submerge the bottles in the cleansing solution, soak the bottles, ensuring contact with all surfaces, then empty the bottles completely, set them aside. Sanitize 10 bottles total. Then soak the bottle caps, transfer tubing, and bottle filler assembly in the cleansing solution, again ensuring contact with all surfaces. Priming bottles. It's time to prime each bottle before filling it. Priming means to add a small bit of sugar that will ferment inside the sealed bottle to create CO2 and carbonate the beer. We do this by adding 1 fizz drop to each bottle. Push the open end of the transfer tubing over the spigot on the fermenter. Gently turn the spigot position to open. You'll likely see beer start running into the tube. Press the tip of the bottle filler to the base of a clean vessel and let the liquid flow until the cleanser solution in the tube is replaced by beer. Lift the bottle filler up to stop the flow of beer. With the fermenter above your bottle and the spigot set to the open position, insert the bottle filler into a bottle and press the tip of the bottle filler against the bottom of the bottle. Beer will begin to flow into the bottle. Let gravity fill the bottle, taking care not to splash too much. Fill the bottle to the top, which will leave about 1 inch of headspace in the neck of the bottle once you remove the filler. If you're doing this solo, place a cap on the bottle and set it aside while you fill the rest of your bottles. If you do have some help, have them cap the bottle as you fill them. Insert the filler into the next empty bottle, press the tip, and fill. Repeat the bottle filling process until there is no beer left in the fermenter. Capping bottles. To cap and seal the bottles, place a sanitized cap on the mouth of the bottle. Center the bottle capper over the cap and press straight down firmly on the capper's handles to seal the cap onto the bottle. Do a quick check to make sure it's secure, wipe the bottle with a dry towel, and then place the bottle into the storage box. Repeat the capping steps until all bottles have been sealed. As for cleanup, wash all used equipment and allow it to fully dry in a dish rack or somewhere else before storing in a dry location until the next brew day. Do not use abrasive brushes that may scratch your equipment. Conditioning. Now we let the beer condition. Store the bottles in a dark area at 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit for at least 2 weeks to carbonate. After those 2 weeks, open a bottle and test it out. Does it open with a hiss and fluff up a nice head when gently poured into a glass? If so, the beer is carbonated and the bottles can now be stored in the refrigerator. If not, give the beer another week or so and test another bottle. Sometimes the carbonation process can take a little longer, especially if it's kept at the cooler end of that temperature range. When chilled, the bottles are ready to serve. Pour beer gently into a clean glass, taking care to leave behind the small, natural layer of sediment at the bottom of each bottle. Enjoy the beer and share it with friends, knowing that you brewed something fun and delicious yourself at home. If you have any questions about the brewing process or any of our ingredients and equipment, feel free to contact us at brewmaster@northernbrewer.com. Also, check out our full catalog of Northern Brewer University online video courses, which is linked in the video description below, as well as our many years of content at youtube.com/northernbrewertv. Cheers and happy brewing!